We're back here on September 23rd. We have online with us Miss Fanyette Brown, who is with the Town Place Suites Hotel. Miss Brown, let's get a phone number out there in case someone wants to call and know how to get in contact with you.
Yeah, sure. So the general number to the hotel is 410-694-0060. Reach me directly with the extension 7005.
Okay, let me make sure I have that. We'll have Town Place Suites, right out there off Nursery Road, folks. And you can reach Miss Brown at 410-694-0060, extension 7005. Is that right, Miss Brown?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So now tell us.
One thing before you go,
hmm
the director of sales, her extension is 7005.
Both of your same extension?
No, I'm 7005 and her is 7007.
Okay, good. And that's Miss Kersey?
Miss Lacey Christie.
Kersey. Okay, so tell us now, the property, when you come down Winterson Road, is it near that Cracker Barrel right there, that Bob Evans in those areas?
Yeah, so we are close by, but you would actually, I would say, come to the next light.
Mm-hmm.
From where that is, and then make a left on Richardson. We're real close to the Chick-fil-A.
Okay, so let's say someone is listening right now, they want to get out and do a walkthrough. They would just call you or email you. What's the best way for them to reach you to say they'd like to come out?
They can email me, or they can call and they can schedule a tour of the property.
Mm-hmm.
Here Monday through Friday, we work for them, and I'd be delighted to give everyone a tour of the facility and show all the wonderful amenities. Because we also offer lounge clubs here. We have a gymnasium. We have a meeting space here for corporations or just social groups that want to come in and just use the space. We have that available. And there's a nice outdoor area for a fire pit. They can and also grill on the grill. So that's really nice.
Yeah, that's why I think it'd be so great. Yeah, that's why I think that people really need to come out and see what you have to offer because it's amazing when you know that most times you think one hotels are all the same, but your town place suites, Mr. Brown, does have a little bit of extra stuff that you wouldn't expect, and I was impressed when my friends Don and Dad King stayed there, and they had the stove, they had the microwave, the refrigerator, they had the laundry service, and they just loved it, and they talked about it quite a bit, and I think by town place being under the Marriott brand, that sort of establishes a certain level of excellence that you'll get when you go to Marriott properties. Yes, indeed.
That wonderful thing is like it's a home away from home. In all the suites, you have a very nice storage space where you can, put all your luggage and all your clothing in there. And very organized. You have the desk in there. So most of the rooms, the one and two bedroom suites include a sofa bed. So it has more like a living area. Whereas the king and queen suites, double queens, they just pretty much offer a kitchenette. So we could have stoves in our rooms as well. So, gas and bake if they like.
Okay.
We're very conveniently located, around wonderful restaurants as well. So guests don't have to always cook. They can always go out and venture the city and try wonderful restaurants.
Okay, good. So let's leave it there and we'll talk again soon. But let's make sure they got your phone number one more time. And I think we need to give them the email. We didn't give them the email address.
Okay, no problem. I will give you my email address. It's quite long, but I think it's Frank AUNYE T as in Tom E period Brown BROWN. And this is where it gets the link. So it's at townplacesuitesbwi.com, and I'll spell that TOWPLACEBWI.com.
Okay, so there was no dot after suites.
I'm sorry.
Is it town place suites dot bwi?
No, townplacesuitesbwi.com.
Okay, got it. And that phone number one more time.
What's the number again?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, no problem. 410-694-0060.
Extension 7005.
And yes, my extension 7005.
And you got a great speaking voice, and maybe we have you come in the studio and do some co-hosting one day soon.
Absolutely.
That'd be fun.
I have done radio in the past as well. So I had a radio show myself maybe about 5 months ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had to pull away from it a little bit, but I thought it was a little bit more, but I wouldn't mind getting back into radio.
Yeah, sure. We'll schedule it. Maybe we'll schedule next month to come and co-host with us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'll be excited to do that.
Oh,
Thank you
great.
so much.
Great. Okay, Miss Brown, we're going to leave it there and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fields. Thanks to be on the show, and hopefully I'll be back again.
Yeah, let's give her a round of applause because she's a first time caller. Oh, should have gave it to you when you started, but there it is. Okay, thank you now. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Hey, folks, right now I want to take a moment or two and just thank all of our supporters and sponsors, starting with Visit Baltimore, downtown Baltimore's top tourism agency right there, baltimore.org. Coming up this week, they're having their annual meeting. It's going to be right there, downtown Baltimore. And if you want to get more information, you can call my man Bond at 410-659-7156. And again, 7156, yeah. This is Baltimore's top main official tourism agency. And September 27th, I believe the date is, they're having their annual tourism meeting. And the good news is one of the special guests is the commissioner of the CIAA. And as you know, that's a basketball tournament coming to Baltimore after being in Charlotte for 20 odd years. The CIAA would be here in Baltimore 2021 through 2023, and if it goes well those 3 years, it might be renewed, and we would have that conference here in Baltimore, hopefully for the next 20 years like they had it in Charlotte. In Charlotte, they stated that over 100,000 fans and family and friends and alumni of those 13 CIAA universities come and attend the event. So just imagine in the last week in February, when things is normally slow for our tourism and hospitality, downtown Baltimore, places like Town Suites, Visit Baltimore is coordinating everything, and we have 100,000 people in Baltimore in late February. So again, if you want to get more information on that, just go to baltimore.org, and their annual meeting, again, I believe is the September 27th. Also going on in Baltimore, we want to give a shout out. As I just mentioned to the young man, I was going to give him a shout out, and that's to the new Keystone Corner. Todd and the folks over there got a nice jazz thing going over there. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Harvard Bank of Maryland. You know, Harvard Bank is Maryland's only exclusive black-owned bank, has over 8 locations. More information, give me a call 410-528-1800. Ask for Miss Tiana Wells Lawson. They just had a wonderful currency conversation with nearly 200 women in the room, and that was a spectacular event. Hopefully we can get Miss Wells Lawson on next week or two to talk about that event. Also, I want to thank our special friends, Tim and Stan, one of the last remaining minority business financing agencies. You know them right down there on Baltimore Street. You can reach them at 410-333-4270. So if you're in the need of lines of credit, you want to have some funding to purchase a building, or purchase some stock, or purchase some equipment, or even purchase a building, you want to call the MMG Capital Group, Stan Tucker, Tim Smoot over there again at 410-333-4270. Also, we want to again thank our sponsors over here with the new Buns Sports Bar. Not to be confused with any Buns of yesteryear. This is a new Baltimore sports bar at 200 East Pratt Street in the lower level of the Gallery Mall, connected with the Renaissance Harbor Place Hotel. The number is 410-727-7700. Again, 410-727-7700. And most days they're open for lunch and dinner, and they normally still open at 11 to 12. They have DJs, karaoke, but they have great menus, entrees, desserts, pizza. You can get your Angela's appetizers, burgers, and beyond. And by the way, folks, this is not a major point, but this is a black-owned sports bar with over 45 large-screen TVs, burgers, soups, salads, all right there at Buns Sports Bar and Grill. My man Ace on the case was supposed to be coming in today, but I guess he got tied up. But anyway, it's more fun in Buns. Just remember, folks, that's right there in the Gallery Mall, downtown Baltimore. 200 Pratt Street, parking in the garage there, and of course it's right there at Calvert and Pratt Street. So big shout out to them. Also, I got another sponsor, supporter we want to give a shout out. It's 1:50 p.m. We got a 2 o'clock call coming in. I want to give a special shout out to my man Enzo over at Sprout Natural Choice. 706 Frederick Road for your vegan folks. Also, my man, Get It In Island Cuisine, great Jamaican, authentic Jamaican cuisine at 2112 Fleet Street. The number there is 410-814-0585, and it's right there, 2112 Fleet Street, right between Fells Point and Canton. It's only about a half a block from the Royal Farms, right there on Fleet Street. Get It In too. And then on Sundays they have the Power TV show, Stars Power. They have the Power Watch Night. Go there and there for that on Sundays, folks. And let's support these businesses and keep it going. I got a couple more people maybe coming up with us soon. Now I'm just going to give them a quick shout out. That's the Breaking Bread people with Miss Catherine down there on Pigtown on Washington Boulevard. We're talking to a realtor because we're trying to get some real estate people involved a little bit more. So we're talking to a young realtor named Blair Woodson. She should be coming on. That's the Agency Baltimore, Agency Maryland. Also, we got some other things going on. But at 2 o'clock, folks, tell everybody who's interested, we're going to be talking with the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission. And we're going to talk a little bit about the state of marijuana, medical marijuana in the state of Maryland. What's legal, what's not legal, how do you get registered, and all those kind of things, what's going on as we look forward to year 2020, January through April of next year, the Maryland General Assembly in 2020, there will be new legislation, maybe even some to move Maryland from just medical marijuana to legalizing recreational use. That may be 2 or 3 years off. We don't know for sure, but we do know nationally the medical and recreation in some states use of marijuana is now a multi-billion-dollar industry. Since the bills passed in Maryland, I think 2012, 2013, and 2 or 3 years for them to get everything in place, I think in Maryland they're approaching $150 million in the first year for medical marijuana uses through the growing and the dispensaries and the different things that's involved in the industry, which is why today I've asked for the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission, Mr. Will Tilburg will be calling in the 2 o'clock hour. So if anyone is listening and you're interested in how to go about getting the licenses and what role does the commission play, the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission, what the role they play in Maryland's medical marijuana, tune in at 2 o'clock in about 8 minutes. We'll be talking about that. Wanted to give a special shout out to my friends Carolyn Phillips, the top model. She sent in a nice donation, helped the show, as did many others over the years. And we really want to say we appreciate all those folks who kindly help support the show. You can support the show by going to BDX Live, that's BDXLIVE.biz if you want to become a supporter and a donor to the show, because that's what keeps us going, those small donations. For those who might be interested, for us, we're still celebrating the bicentennial of Frederick Douglass's birth, and even though it was really 2018, we're just carrying it on. And so on September 29th, we will have at 10 a.m. the Frederick Douglass Path to Freedom Walking Tour in Fells Point, Baltimore. You can register at bbhtours@gmail.com. We're going to start at 10 a.m. on the 29th, and we're going to meet down there at Broadway and Thames. And while we're talking about the waterfront down there in Fells Point, we know a new restaurant opened recently there in the square, one of the old markets. I think it would be called the South Market. They opened up as a all self-contained chop tank restaurant, and they have a seafood menu, steaks and all that. But it seems like if they was going to go into one of those exclusive, we don't want everybody, we don't want everybody's money. They had a plaque on the entrance that said you couldn't come in if you had baggy pants or hat worn backwards, or if you wore athletic wear, you couldn't come in after 10, and all kinds of things like that. In the Baltimore Brew, I saw an article stated that some people felt they were being discriminatory, but some of the things the Chop Tank had on that, you can't come in with this, seemingly was speaking to brothers, and mostly brothers wear certain gear, and much of the do not wear, do not bring, do not come if you have these kind of things, with things people of color, particularly brothers, are wearing. So that caused a little controversy, and the owners, the Atlas Group, decided to take some of those things off, but still, they're still trying to have a dress code in this Chop Tank restaurant there in the center of Fells Point Square. And then we looked up, and there was an issue going on down there on the water with KGL. You guys know King George's Landing. Brother George Harris, for the last 4 years, has acquired several vessels down there on the several vessels on the water there, and he's been operating a tourism water-based business as the Thames Street KGL, and broke on the news last night that unfortunately, under the cloak of darkness, it seems, his crafts, his ships, his boats, his yachts, if you will, were removed. And so there's an issue going on down there in the 1900 block of Thames Street where Mr. Harris had his boats docked. And so there's a group, it seems to be at odds, called the Maryland Management Corporation. And so it seems as there is some type of issues there as it relates to African American ownership on the water. Hopefully next week or so we'll have Mr. Harris in studio, or if he's listening, he can call in today. But at 2 o'clock, we're talking with Mr. Bill Tilburg. But again, we need to look into these instances where people of color try to acquire ownership. And this is why we're talking about the Medical Marijuana Commission, because over the years, blacks have been unjustly, grossly incarcerated and took into jail for having even small amounts of marijuana. And so we are paid the price for that war on drugs, having a $5 time bag of reefer and you had to go to jail. Now it's legal, and we are going to work with Delegate Cheryl Glenn, who will be calling in or coming in next week, September 30th, to give her side of the story. Because as you know, the commission formally is named after her mother. The commission is called the Natalie Laparty, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Laparty, named after Delegate Glenn. And one of the issues Delegate Glenn raised, just like the issue Mr. Harris is raising, people of color should not be omitted from having ownership and some control in these industries, particularly when for the last 40 years it's been black people going to jail for marijuana and white people going home with a ticket. And black people getting court records and all that and have to check the box because they got arrested having some marijuana. The police smelled the marijuana car, and one thing leads to another, and boom. So we're now hopeful going to be talking with Mr. Harris about his situation down there on the waterfront and to determine if there's some bias going on. Are blacks not welcome to have businesses in a harbor? Are blacks not interested in having or welcome to have a yachting service in Fells Point, which is really where black folks started in this city, as just the white folks too. And Frederick Douglass lived down there for years. So we just want to ask the question what's going on. And so with Mr. Harris, we see if we can schedule him in studio and just try to unpack what's going on there. And then again, we want to continue to advocate for inclusion and diversity to make sure everybody's on the same page and make sure everyone has the opportunity to participate who wishes to participate. Looks like we have our special guest online. So, Mr. Engineer, we're going to pull up Mr. I think it's Tilburg, and then I'm not going to take any callers for the next 30 minutes so we can have a nice conversation with Mr. Will, okay? Okay, so we're going to pull him up now. And this is Mr. Will Tilburg.
Yes, good afternoon.
How you doing, sir?
Great today. How are you?
Oh, man, you got a great speaking voice. All you folks calling in today should be in my seat. Y'all got great voices. So how you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you. How are you?
I'm happy to be here, and I'm so happy that you had a chance to call in and share with us the work you folks are doing with the, yeah. Okay, Mr. Tilburg, let me take my 2 o'clock break and be right back in 90 seconds so we don't be interrupted. Can we do that?
Yes, that sounds great.
Oh, thank you, sir.